So we're talking about Hand Job, the film.
Talk about Talk to Me. That's what we're going to talk about today's. Talk to Me. The movie says Talk to Me, dog.
Talk to me.
Fantastic.
Great
Fantastic.
movie. Great movie. I'm not
First of all, the fact that it's Australian.
No.
Off the bat, bro. Off the bat. Didn't know anybody in that movie besides the best cameo you could have done was putting the lady from Lord of the Rings.
Damn, that was her?
As a mother of one of the kids that's going through this shit.
I had no idea.
Fantastic.
No.
She was the only person you recognized. Beyond that, it was all unknown kids, unknown actors, people who just nobody knew.
The only names I know from that movie are me, Riley. No.
Who's that?
Riley is the boy that gets possessed, and me is the main character.
Those, you know both of them, or what?
I'm just saying those are the names I remember. Do you remember any other name from that movie?
No.
Yeah,
I don't remember nobody's name.
Speak on this. Tell me about how no one spends any time.
So that's the cool part about the movie. So you're grieving, this girl's grieving the whole time, and you're hanging out with her, but it's not too much from the bat. You're just. The whole kangaroo scene when the beginning hits is a great example of what the whole thing was gonna be about. Never had the full ability to pull the trigger on whatever she was doing, and then at the end of it, she was gonna pull that trigger on that dude. What's his name?
Also, being able to let go.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. She was like, I'm gonna drive away from this dead kangaroo.
Yeah.
The kid's like, no, we gotta put it out of its misery.
It's dying, bro.
Okay, so let's talk about how good the story was.
Okay.
Because I personally think the story was better than the story of Hereditary. I think this movie's shot better. This movie's more entertaining. It's a better story.
Yeah, it's very
better
much
writing than Hereditary.
So yeah, Hereditary was such a dread. It's the whole film is dread. You're hanging out and with the same person. What's interesting about this is you're hanging out with these kids and during a modern time where these things are happening in real life where they're hanging themselves,
they're
playing
mates,
these stupid
right?
games,
they're
and
mates, yeah.
And it's whoa,
What's up, mate?
I 100% believe that with everything that's happening right now, that this could actually happen. Beyond the whole hand thing, I'm talking about it can be applied to anything, right? Which the whole film is about.
Okay, so going back to the story, right?
Yeah.
So the parallelism between Riley being yo, you gotta put it out of its misery, and then Riley being in purgatory, and her mother telling her, yo, you gotta save him. Oh, how do I save him? You gotta fucking kill him.
Same thing, yeah.
But probably not necessary to kill him. Well, now we know that these spirits are
evil.
Yes,
they were convincing her.
They don't mean well.
Yeah.
So a couple of things just from the top, right? This thing that allows you to commune with the dead, and how that gives these teenagers a high. I think that was good storytelling because these dumbass kids, not playing with fire, and kind of having this rush. But you know what? I think you have to believe that they all share the same rush that Mia does.
Right.
And it's just because it's from Mia's perspective, you just see it a little bit more viscerally inside her.
Well, the whole film is, I 100% believe the film is about addiction and drug addiction and getting stuck in that. Everybody's doing that shit. Everybody's doing it. It's okay. She does it a little bit longer.
Hold on real quick. Going back to it. This movie sets them up and knocks them down every step of the way. And I think what really tells you, again, Riley, the kangaroo, purgatory, Riley, being put out of his misery. But not only that, but the scenes in which they shake the hand.
Yeah.
And then it ends with Mia's hand being extended out. And then she's at a party. And then she ends up, being one of these spirits in purgatory, sitting down, getting ready to enter this kid, right? How this cycle keeps pushing forward.
Yeah.
I just, through the imagery of just closing the loop on the entire movie. And I applaud it. That's really good filmmaking.
It was great.
Just consistently give you things and then to close them out. So another example is when they go to that original kid and they go, yo, how do we stop this?
Yeah.
He goes, well, just give it a couple of days, bro. It's gonna stop on its own.
You just gotta stop doing it, right?
And then it listened, right? And what does she think the solution is? Is to do it again. And get more plugged in and get more corrupted.
It's 100%.
Just great parallelism, great storytelling, sets you up, knocks them down, does it through the actions of the characters, does it through the imagery of the film, through the overarching concepts.
Yeah.
And again, I just think Hereditary just spent too much time trying to tell you what was going on.
Yeah.
And this film just kind of just tells you what it is and then just keeps going. And then just trusts.
The pace is great. Yeah.
It trusts you to connect the dots.
Exactly, and which is what you always want, right? You want everybody to be figuring it out in their head and creating their own story. It was like the best example of like kind of almost reading a book, right? You're like, you know enough, and now you're putting all in the holes, and you're giving. They're not, and it's great because the film isn't like a horror in the sense of like, it's like, oh, like, you know, it's scary, but it's like more disturbing than it is anything, right? Because it's about the idea of being trapped, the idea of being like, you can't stop doing this, and it's every time you're doing it, it's getting worse, and then you go back to this thing, and it's like not helping you at all until what? You stop doing it, and it's like obviously like, or you become part of whatever, you don't never knowing, like, you know, you're gone, you're dead, and you're at the other side of that world now, which is, it was great. Again, great way to close everything up. I mean, it was a great thing. I was like, yo, this is ghost story. This is happening. Everything, yeah. It was a ghost story. Yeah. The lore was there of just like, oh, it was a hand of a medium who was able to talk to people. That's that. But I gotta give it up to the kids who bring that hand into the picture. Like, it was so good. Like the way they hype it up, the way everything is done.
They carry it in their backpack like cocaine,
exactly.
Right? They show up to the party with a backpack full of cocaine.
You're asking him in school, hey, y'all gonna
getting young kids.
Y'all gonna shake hands today? Giving it to a kid.
We gotta get our story straight, guys.
The first thing the guy says is like, "Oh, you let a kid do it?" And I was like, "No shit."
we gotta get our fucking story straight.
He's like, "What do you mean?" I was like,
the kid overdosed, right? And And also the mother dying too, right? Of an overdose for sleeping drugs.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, that's there too. Like she committed suicide because of the sleeping drugs. That's how she used.
Okay. So her mom is in purgatory, right?
Yeah.
So do you think at the end of the movie Mia got pushed into traffic, or Mia killed herself and jumped into traffic to save Riley?
I think she realized it wasn't her mom and she jumped into traffic.
Right? Okay.
I do believe. I think she killed herself, yeah. I think she realizes that it's not her mom. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's the idea, right? You get to the point where, like, you accept... It's cool because, like, she gets to the point where, like, not only does she accept that's not my mom and, like, accept what happened, but, like, she also says, "Be like, okay, I need to save this person, and it's not right." And she does the right thing.
It's also the allegory, though, of the drug addict.
100%. That's all it is, and that's why I thought it was so good. Like, but again, you could apply it to anything. You could be addicted to something anything, whether it be drugs or like food. Like, it's the same shit. You go back to that shit. You keep fucking up. Like, it's gonna eat you, bro. It's gonna eat you alive. And I thought it was fantastic in that sense, where it was like, oh yeah, like, you can apply this to anything, and like, you'll end up in that same place. Like, you'll end up, and that's why it's such a good loop, right? Because it's a constant thing where it's like, dang, if you do this, it's just gonna keep going that way, bro, until you actually stop.
So one thing I want to talk real about is the body horror genre.
Yeah.
The body horror genre, in my opinion, dude, was getting stale.
Yeah, especially watching.
And just going back to it, right?
Yeah.
Everyone talks about Hereditary like it's some groundbreaking thing. But take away the body horror, and it's just a really bad story.
You hate that movie, huh? You're like, fuck that movie.
I just think The Witch does it so much better.
It does.
The Witch does it so much better.
Well, it's because you see things like this.
Just going back to body horror, though.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So I feel like the body horror genre, real stale.
Yeah.
I just think it was really getting played out.
Yeah.
But also, like, it's not the horror of the 90s, right?
Right.
The slasher fic of the 90s just doesn't exist. The Jaws of the 90s, right? Like, the idea that there's this big bad monster pushing the ante, it kind of disappeared. And so Hollywood really started leaning on body horror and showing you really fucked up things.
Yeah.
And so I think what I appreciate about this movie is that the body horror aspect of it was all trauma that I think you would see in the emergency room.
I think that's exactly why it was so good, yeah.
That girl getting her head knocked off in Hereditary is definitely something someone would see in the trauma room. And that scene really fucking, got me in the theater. Yeah. But take away that scene, the rest of the movie's kind of whack.
Yeah.
Take away some of the body horror of this movie, and I feel like it still stands, right? Like, it still allows you this peek into this paranormal. activity that was spooky.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's what makes it really interesting. He took something that we're all very used to, like the bullshit demonic stuff, and I was like, he took it to a place where I was like, oh, okay, like
very exorcism.
It felt very human, where it was like, oh, like, you're dealing with people who are trapped, right? You're dealing with people who've gone through shit, like she becomes it, right? And you're like, oh wow, that's why it's so scary, because the trauma that these people are going, like the lady when she comes out of that corner and walks up to suck this food's toes, like.
Hey, how hot was that?
I was like, what the fuck? It was great. It was so good. It was so well done.
You were watching her getting
so well
his
done.
toe sucked, and then she was sucking. And was that CGI? How much toe she got in her mouth? Was that CGI?
Apparently it wasn't. Yeah,
dude, that was a lot of fucking toe in her mouth. It was real tough. Dude, that was so much toe in her mouth.
It was good. She did it. She did a good job. So yeah, everything going on is really well. Like it's happening. Like they knew what they were doing. Like they thought of all like the little things where like we can talk about it this way. Where I was like, oh shit, like it's very like well put together. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty well done. Yeah. Like again, I gave it up for the kid who has the piercing on his nose and the slick hair back. I was just like, I don't know. At first, I was like, "Who's this?" That's gonna be my first time he showed up, I was like, "Who's this dyke?" And I was like, "Oh wait, it's a guy." And
do you think I can rock that nose piercing?
I think you can.
Dominique, do you think I can rock that nose piercing?
You can, bro. You can rock that shit. You can rock that shit.
I'm trying to rock that nose piercing.
But yeah, again, so like you're saying, the what I really love is that everything that was legit scary was very much, again, real traumatic things you would see. And that's what I'm saying. So we're at a point now where, like you're saying, where we'd always talked about this, where where's fear in jumping when it's fear in reality of like things that really disturb you, right? Disturbing you is going to be the new fear. Like making you feel uncomfortable is the new fear. I was so uncomfortable, bro. I was so uncomfortable. And it's cool because when
he's going to slam his head into the
that was like one of the best things.
The mantle, and then she puts her hand there and then breaks her finger.
Best things I've ever seen, dog. Best things I've ever seen. I was like, this is so good. Like, I can't.
Hold on, bro. We gotta talk about theater etiquette, bro. Are people just being menaces in the movies you go to?
Well, you tell me. Is it for you?
I went to go see this movie.
What time do you go see movies?
7:45 p.m.
Okay, that's kind of mid-time, yeah.
Dude, there's this guy.
Okay.
Just mad-libbing the whole movie. And low-key, he had some chops. Some things he said were pretty funny, but like...
What do you mean? He was like just making fun of it the whole time?
Like, oh, fuck. Not making fun of it.
Oh, he was just like, oh, shit.
Oh, my God.
Oh, okay.
And then at one point, he ran out of the theater.
No
Like, got up and ran out of the theater.
No way.
And I kept thinking school shooter.
No way.
I kept thinking school shooter.
Attention seeker?
I was looking at the exits. I was just like, where am I going to go?
Thankfully, the time we go watch movies, we do not ever have to deal with that. Actually, the one time we dealt with...
I feel like I do.
You hear that shit?
You got that one?
Oh, you do that? No, but not like he's saying.
This guy
it's
was
different.
talking at
he was talking and during it, like, oh fuck. Like,
hey, but he was killing. We were all laughing.
That's funny.
He was fucking killing.
Oh shit! He did it on purpose, bitch. It's his living. He goes. He didn't really want to watch this movie. He just really wanted to like get the reaction.
He was killing it. I just think that if you sit in the front row of the movie theater, you're just in for like a bad time, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah,
but I think row C. I think row C is fine, bro.
C and D I love, yeah. I actually sit in D sometimes because I don't give a fuck. Dude, the movie screen's not that big.
Reclining seats.
If the handicapped person has to sit in the handicapped spot, it has to be good. Fuck you. Like, get out of here. Like, that's what you know. Like, so I got you that seat for...
Tell me how we all piss or take a shit in the handicapped stall, but none of us sit in the handicapped seat at the theater. What's with that?
I put you in the handicapped seat at the theater.
We're all just high and mighty when we're at the toilet, but the moment
Nikki's not down. I go, it's fine. I've never actually seen a handicapped person at the theater.
I hate sitting in the
handicapped
seats.
I once did it.
And I don't think they'll be at the handicapped theater. Maybe they will. Like fucking.
I did it for Spider-Man 3.
And there was someone there.
No.
But have you ever seen someone there?
Have you ever seen a handicapped person use a handicapped stall?
Never.
You heard it here first. The inside scoop.
They're fucking leprous. They look funny. That shit. Oh my god, that was hilarious. But I will give it up to this film again to use great practical effects on from a smashing. Like I could not believe how real it all looked. I was like, none of this looks like it was they were bashing dolls and shit against wood. Like, I bet they were doing some crazy shit. Because, like, dang, bro. Like,
it all felt very,
when Homeboy was smashing his face into the table, and then he got thrown back and smashed his head into, and you start seeing the way
he got his eyeball.
Watching UFC, bro, I go, they made this fool bleed exactly how, like, you're supposed to bleed when shit starts happening like that. And bro, I was like, it's so trauma, bro. He just...
No, it was like fringe. Like,
I legit looked away plenty of times during that film. And I was like, damn, that was great. I was like, that's you want to get scared? You want to be scared? Like, at this point, that's what takes it. That's scary. Like, that shows some of the, and that's why I was like, this is so cool because it almost feels like a reality turned into a film, right? Like, all this stuff really happens. Like, all that kind of trauma, like the shit that goes down, what's happening, like all that shit is like 100%. Take the monsters away, take the bullshit away, and emotionally, you're dealing with that shit all the time. It's insane. And I'm just like, that's why people do shit that is like wild as fuck. The whole smashing your head into the wall like that, it's like 100% like crazy people do that shit. Like, people on drugs, people who are just mentally like not there. And that shit's fucking scary. You grow up thinking that shit's scary. Like, and it's a different fear. It's a fear it's a fear that's like right here, and it's a
body horror.
It's exactly what it is. Like, it is. It's that weird. Have you ever seen the guy who did bum fights?
Yes.
So bum fights guy started after he finished bum fight. He started going into mental institutions and recording mental patients, and it was some of the freakiest shit I've ever seen in my life. He only did one. We should watch it. And that shit's terrifying, bro. You're like watching.
We should watch the entire Bum Fights filmography.
Bum Fights is funny, but
the guy who did his entire filmography.
He's hard, bro. He's hard.
Hey,
he's a piece of shit, but he's hard.
Okay. As a piece of shit he
did some shit.
Real trailblazer.
Ahead of his time.
YouTube before YouTube.
100.
YouTube before YouTube
100.
was the bum fight section at the VHS rental store.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when 100. You got to that part of the store, you had the UFC fights, very early
backyard
UFC.
Wrestling.
Dude, you had things you never heard
backyard
of.
boxing knuckle fights. Mm-hmm. Like, have you remember the when the prisoners would fight, the people who just got out of jail, the two gangsters would fight each other? Like,
never saw that one.
Oh man, it's fucking crazy. There's a whole thing about it. Like, it's really fucking, and they like smack, like beating each other up in the middle of like Palmdale.
I remember watching like a lively. You're right.
It's
freshly out, and then
they're like, yo, I've been in for this years, and there's a bunch of cholos, and they just get fucking down, bro. Like, that shit was intense.
They go back to jail.
Yeah, and it was crazy. But yeah, so again, all that like. Again, makes you think of all that stuff where it's like that kind of stuff doesn't happen anymore, and again, very solid.
Hold on, let's take a break. Let's see if this thing is running or not.
Oh, I feel pretty so bad. I'll go right here.
Damn, I wonder when it stopped running, bro.
You wanna what?
You can go the bathroom inside too.
What?
You can use the bathroom inside too. My door's open. Yeah, my door's open. Whatever you want to do. Clap me in. All right, talking movies part 2, take 2. Let's do this.
So I guess we can agree that the story was fantastic, up and down. It gives you just enough. And then the rest is for you to just enjoy and see what's happening with everything, right? I think 100% that was just really well written back to back. And I was like, okay. I would love to read the script. If we get our hands on it, we can definitely have a read of it.
It's probably a real solid script. It's
probably really well written. Like,
it's probably punchy. It's probably short.
Yeah.
It's probably 90 pages, I imagine, less.
Yeah. Again, that's why it's like, I think it's, I think that's why it's like one of this, I haven't seen it in a long time where someone writes something that's just, it kind of almost reminds me of like something that's really well compressed. And
doesn't waste any time. Doesn't
from the first shot in it. Let's go. And then you're wondering, okay, what's that happen?
Boom. Although there was
a time where it was slow. And you know why? Because it had to be, because the whole time it was like this. And I was like, damn, bro, like...
It got slow when they were like, oh, let's go find the guy's brother.
Exactly.
And then...
Yeah. Beyond that, dude, anxious.
The bus, and
anxious,
they come back.
Anxious the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
Anxious. I was just anxious.
There's a lot of anxiety in that movie.
I was like, oh my God, dude, I'm so fucking anxious. I could not get over, like, her trying to like obviously kill him because they were telling her to kill him, and I was like, this is insane. Like, bitch, when are you gonna do it? Like, just fucking do it. Shows up at the hospital. Shows up, just takes him away, rolling him up a hill. I was like, bitch,
Her stabbing her dad.
oh my god, dude, next level. Like, I was like, it is the perfect like twist. Obviously, she like comes in and all of a sudden the other one's gone.
Also, props to them for introducing kind of the stakes in the beginning, where the guy stabs his friend and then stabs himself.
Yeah.
Stabs his brother and then stabs himself.
Yeah.
It was very it basically gives you an idea of where Me's character is gonna go to. And again, this movie was the king of setting them up, knocking them down.
And you know what,
and
dude?
not overstaying itself.
You know your movie's good when your film literally only has 2 kills. And those only 2 kills are the first one and the one at the end. No one else dies in this movie. And I love that the sister never touches the hand. The one that, the white girl, like, who was always, she's the one to even go ask that for, you guys gonna do this shit tonight or what? And then she was like,
touch the hand?
Never touched the hand, bro. Never touched it. I told Nikki last night, I go,
Did she touch the hand?
She never touched it. And I thought she was going to touch it after the Christian boy touched it. Yeah. We never got a scene of her.
When the Christian boy touched it, it doesn't, like, oh, he doesn't like you. Like,
he died up. What a great... And that's what's really cool about those things, too, where, like, you go... It's not... You always, the whole demonic thing is revealing your truths, right? And, like, it was cool because it did it in a way where it was more like, I can't communicate clearly, but, like...
I think you realize that it's not doing the truth. It is taking advantage of people's insecurity.
Exactly. That's a great, perfect way to put it.
Because as told by me,
it was again like.
But also, if they took it in the direction where the demons were low key, kind of being honest and being like, "Yeah, your dad did kill her."
Yeah,
that would have been fire too.
That also would have been true. You know? So when the whole
fire.
Mom thing happened with the kid, I was like, oh shit! Like and it's cool. You know what, dude? I could not stop being like, why I guess it was happening so fast that I was never like, why didn't I catch this was gonna happen? Like why?
Also, comedic timing in this movie.
Oh, fantastic, dude! Fantastic.
My daughter's vagina's off limits.
That's so funny. The mom, like, y'all having a party tonight? Y'all have a party tonight? I love it, dude.
Who's coming to the party tonight?
Lord of the Rings, mom, bro.
Who's coming to the party tonight?
Queen, dude, Queen. And so well done.
That
and
dog making out with that boy, your thotty dog. Get your thotty dog out of here.
So good, dude. I was like, this is all just there, like, and it's cool because. Every time you watch these movies and shit, like, anything paranormal happens, it's like this big fucking deal, right? Everybody makes a big oh, you're so scared. And these fools just keep doing it. It's, and they just keep doing it, and they just like, oh, this is cool. This is what it is. Like, just fucking do it. Like, don't be a bitch. Don't be a pussy. Like, and I was like, Dad, like, you guys are just... And I 100% believe, like, that would be happening right now. Like, where it's like...
Yeah, if kids could...
If there was something like beyond... if they can do some wild shit, which they do, from, like, the whole bullshit neck shit and all that bullshit they do, that, like, you're like, you die over this shit, bro. Like, like... I could only imagine if, like, you found something that can get you, like, some kind of some kind of high that's just, like, It was funny, I saw somebody compare it to some of those days that we were in your backyard doing salvia. Like, that's exactly what it was. So it's exactly like a salvia trip, bro.
Dude, I can't believe salvia was a thing.
It's exactly what it was. I could not, dude. I could not. I remember when we used to get... I remember there was times when we get real salvia, and then we get the bullshit from the shop. But you said salvia was real, so let's not get into the conversation.
Synthetic.
Let's not get into that.
We were hitting synthetics.
We were hitting synthetic weed, bro. It's not even because there was a point where there was actual salvia that made you trip. Like I would see things, and then there was the salvia that make you high. Like where it's like, oh, it's just. But you, for some reason, got it for some... We'll talk about that later. Let's not talk about it.
No, well, you could buy it from the gas station.
That's what I said. But again, that's not...
You can buy it at the smoke shop.
I don't think that's salvia. Is it salvia?
Well, you can't buy it anymore. When's the last time you saw salvia on the show?
I haven't seen it anywhere. I mean, the last time... I didn't even know it existed.
A good thing they banned. Dude, that was... I don't know if it was bad, but that was something else, dude.
It's some bath salt shit, bro. It fucks your mind up.
It was some bath salts.
It literally is some bath salt shit.
I definitely feel like
synthetic weed?
I've never recovered.
Synthetic weed is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, you hit it. Yeah,
I hit it with Bobby. It was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen in my life. It was like the fastest high. It was like being on crack. It happened so fast, and then it went away so fast. I was super sober in like 20 minutes, and I was like, but super fucking faded for 10. And it was a faded high, but like it's a chemically like it's it's disgusting. Never did that again.
Let's wrap it.